everyone, my name is Julia and today I will be guiding you through an at-home gentle yoga flow that's meant to focus on more flexibility and mobility and less on strength. So we'll go ahead and get started today lying flat on our backs if that's available for you. Know that if you have any blankets or pillows that you would like to use here, feel free. Sometimes it can feel good to put a pillow under the knees or under the head, or to just start by covering yourself in a blanket. It'll kind of be like we're waking up and we get a fresh start. Once you get onto your back, maybe you wiggle around a little bit, just so we can find a place where we can be completely relaxed. It wouldn't make sense to settle into a place that we weren't actually comfortable in. So once you find that place, maybe taking the legs as wide as the mat, arms by our sides, the palms facing up towards the sky. Begin to scan the body from head to toe, sinking each muscle down into the earth. Starting at the crown of the head, broadening the forehead, uncreasing the eyebrows, allowing the jaw to soften, even if it means that the lips part open slightly. Allow the shoulders to nestle underneath the chest. Maybe you even walk them underneath a little bit so that the heart can open a little more. Let the hands and the arms melt down. The lower back sinks down into the earth. The pelvis gets heavy. The legs get heavy, the feet falling towards either side. Gravity do the work. See if you can let the mat catch you. Can you trust? Into deep in the breath. Just allowing it to be a soft breath though, not forcing anything, but just noticing and consciously lengthening that breath. Gradually beginning to bring that breath deeper down into the lungs. So typically as we go through our days, we might not notice our breathing and we might find that our breath gets stuck in the upper portion of the lungs, in the chest. But in yoga we get the opportunity to use the entire capacity of the lungs, even if we're just imagining it. Inhale fills up the low belly, the rib cage, the chest, the throat. Exhale releases it from top to bottom, releasing from the chest, the rib cage, down to the belly. Releasing everything that has happened before in our day, that will happen later, so that we can just be in this moment. When we focus on the present moment, it allows all of our worries to dissolve. All judgments and expectations, just leaving them at the door. When you're ready, begin to invite gentle movement into the body, just wiggling the fingers and toes. Maybe rolling the wrists and ankles. And on an inhale, reaching the arms up and overhead, stretching long, pointing through the toes, reaching through the fingertips. Full body stretch as if we're waking up for the first time. And on an exhale, draw the knees in towards the chest. Maybe rock a little side to side, feeling where the lower back connects down to the earth. Giving yourself a hug to show yourself some love. That's what yoga is all about. It's about practicing self-love, self-care, self-discipline. They're all the same exact thing. When you're ready, bringing the arms wide into a T. And on an exhale, let the knees fall to the right side for spinal twist. Maybe you place the right hand above the left knee to just use that weight of the hand to bring the knees closer down towards the earth. Or if there's a big gap between these knees and the earth, you might place a pillow just underneath the knees. And then you might look over the left fingertips so that we can twist all the way from the cervical spine to the sacral spine. Breathing into this twist. We'll spend about 5 to 10 breaths in each pose today. And of course, if you'd like to stay longer, you can always pause the video and just take it at your own pace. Inhale as we bring the knees back through center and over to the left side. Again, perhaps we place this left hand above the right knee, using any pillows or props between the knees or underneath them to fill in any gaps. The gaze looks over the right fingertips. Shoulder blades stay flat against the mat. Even if it means that the knees come up a little bit, that's okay. Softening and breathing into this space. On an inhale, knees coming back through center. And then just pressing the feet up towards the sky for candlestick pose. And then gently lowering the soles of the feet down towards the earth. Go ahead and bring your arms next to your sides. Forearms pressing down into the earth, palms pressing down into the earth. And then on an inhale, lifting the hips up towards the sky, maybe gently rolling the shoulder blades beneath the chest as we come into a gentle bridge pose, lifting the hips, lifting the thighs, pressing down through the feet, keeping the knees about hips width apart and breathing expansively into the chest. Exhale as we slowly roll the spine back down to the earth, one vertebrae at a time. Tailbone comes last. Hug the knees into the chest one more time. Maybe this time we lift the shoulders and hug the chin to the knees. And then making our way to a seated position in any way that makes sense to you. So maybe you just roll up, maybe you fall to one side and push yourself up from there. Any way that makes sense to you. And we'll meet in either a cross-legged position or any other easy seated position for you. Inhale as we circle the arms around and up to the sky. The palms connect at the top. And then exhale as we seal the hands down with their heart center. bow the chin here and just take a moment to set an intention for your practice today. Answering the question of why you came to your mat, what you might be hoping to get out of this. But the trick is that your intention can be as bold as you would like it to be, because it's not the intention that gets us in trouble, it's the attachment to that intention. So know that your intention can change as we go along. We can change. Hands come back down to our sides, and then grabbing the right knee with the left hand. Inhale to lift the right hand up to the sky, and then gently over towards that left side if that's available for you. So using this leverage by grabbing that knee, you can create a deeper side bend. If that's too intense for you, then just keep that left hand planted. No big deal. Inhaling into that right side body, the gaze looks up at the fingertips, opening up that space. And on an exhale, we'll lower that right hand down towards the mat, and then softly twisting over towards the right side. The gaze looks over the right shoulder. The right fingertips are planted. We're rotated through the waist. So stay in your twist, but inhale exactly where you are to get a little bit taller through the spine. Grow upwards through the crown of the head. Just consider rotating through the waist. Not necessarily using this hand to crank or force anything. Listening to our body going just as far as it's available today. Maybe we take the gaze over the left shoulder, looking forward now, and then gently begin to soften the chin down in towards the chest, and then back above the left shoulder. So we're still in this twist through the waist, but we're just gently massaging the neck side to side in these quarter circle shape movements. If you need more sensation, you can walk the right fingertips further away from the body, and you can open up the throat space a little more. Finding that place of just enough, and not going beyond it. When you're ready, taking the gaze back behind you. Inhale as we circle the arms around and up to the sky. And on an exhale, let's just fold forward. Just walking the hands out as far as it's available. It really doesn't matter how far it goes, but making sure that the sit bones stay rooted no matter where we are. So if we find that maybe our tailbone wants to come up a little bit, that just means we have to back off. No big deal. It's not about how deep into the pose you can go. It's about using the pose to honor your body and to celebrate the abilities that you have in this body. After all, we only get one body, so we have to take care of it while it lasts. And when we go past that place of just enough, that's when the ego gets in the way, and that's when we get injured. So just taking it at your own limitation. Walking the hands back towards the body. Coming back to a gentle seated position. If your legs are crossed, go ahead and just switch the top leg. So it's kind of like the awkward way that we unnaturally would sit cross-legged. But just to find balance on both sides, we do this. On an inhale, circle the arms around and up to the sky. On an exhale, let the right hand fall towards the left knee. Extending through the left fingertips, maybe looking up at those fingertips, keeping the sit bones rooted down into the earth. Maybe we begin to lean over to the right side to increase the side body stretch throughout our left side. Maybe we stay in center and just extend through the fingertips. Maybe we keep the right hand planted next to our side for balance or support. Finding your version, even if that means you have to pause, try out different options just to see what would happen, right? So we become curious in yoga. When we let go of the ego and competition, we look at everything with a sense of curiosity and wonder. We do these poses just to see what would happen, just to learn a little something more about who we are and how we react to certain situations. On an exhale, lowering the left hand down by our side and then slowly and gently twisting through the waist, walking the left fingertips behind us. Inhale as we lengthen upwards through the spine, the crown of the head lifts straight up. Exhale as we twist through the waist, not cranking or using this hand to force ourselves into the twist, but just going as far as our waist will naturally allow us to. And settling in there in that space. Breathing. Turning the gaze to look forward, stay in your twist. The chin is above the right shoulder. Inhale here. Exhale as we sink the chin down towards the chest. Inhale to lift back up above the right shoulder, and then exhale to massage back down into the chest. Just going back and forth with the pace of your own breath. Playing with the placement of the left fingertips, seeing how that changes where you feel that opening in the throat space. Releasing any tension in the neck. Carry a lot of tension there. When you feel even on this side, go ahead and turn to look over the left shoulder again. And on an inhale, circle the arms up through center. And on an exhale, forward fold. Again, the sit bones stay rooted to the earth. Even if it means you have to back off a little bit, that's totally fine. Just folding as far as your body will allow in this moment. We're still getting started. We're still warming up. Maybe later you'll fold a little deeper, but we're not concerned with that. Just see what's happening in this present moment. And breathing here. Soft breath. Begin to walk the hands back towards the body. Bringing the hands next to our sides, we'll uncross the legs and plant the soles of the feet onto the mat. And on an inhale, go ahead and lift the hips up towards the sky for a reverse tabletop position. Keeping the neck in line with the natural curvature of the spine or allowing the head to fall back, it's up to you. And then exhale as we sink the hips back down towards the earth. We'll begin to make our way to hands and knees, a position of all fours. And when you arrive, stacking the shoulders above the wrists, the hips above the knees. And we'll begin to move into some cat-cows, inhaling as we lift the crown of the head, lift the chin, open the heart, lift the tailbone, and exhale as we round the spine, tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone, and lift the mid-back. And just begin to move throughout your entire spine at the pace of your own breath. Maybe you would just close your eyes here and sort of get lost in the rhythm of the movement. Making these cat-cows your own by adding any movement, any rocking or swaying or circling. It doesn't matter what they look like, as long as it feels good in your body. Awakening the entire spine. Ironing out any areas of tension, so taking inventory of those places, knowing where we need to deepen into, where we need to soften, and where we need to stay away from if there's any place in the body that you're taking care of, knowing when to back off. When you're ready, we'll come back to a neutral spine, hands and knees. Know that if you're taking care of your knees or your knees are sensitive, you can always roll up a mat underneath the knees or put a blanket under the knees. When you're ready, pressing the right toes back so that they're tucked underneath, pressing through the heel of that right foot. Begin to just rock forwards and backwards, maybe in like a circular motion, even if that feels good for you, if that's maybe more fun for you. Just gently awakening that right leg. When you're ready, let's lift that right heel in line with the hip or as high as it's available. The toes of the right foot are pointed down to the earth. We might even take a look back at those toes to check and make sure that they are pointed down. And then when you're ready, bending that right knee so that that right foot is flexed, pressing up towards the ceiling. Gently begin to pulse here, up and down. You can go as slow or as fast as you would like to. If your wrists become too tired, you can always drop onto the forearms if that's better for you. All right? There's always options. When you're ready, let's exhale to curl that right knee in towards the chest, pointing through that right foot, bringing the heel of the right foot towards that right glute, and then on an exhale, lowering that right knee back down to hands and knees. Let's take a moment in child's pose. So maybe we separate the knees a little bit, create some space for the chest to lie down into. The arms can be extended out in front of us, or perhaps we keep them next to our sides and let the shoulders drape over the knees. The hips are sinking towards the heels. And just take a moment to rest in child's pose. If child's pose isn't available to you, then just find an easy seated position or any other position that feels better for you. Take a couple breaths. Kind of reset and restore the body. And come back to this moment. Come back to your intention. And just know that you can always come back to child's pose at any time throughout our practice today. It's always available to you as a sort of home base. When you're ready, rocking the shoulders forward for hands and knees back to this position of all fours. Shoulders stacking above the wrists, hips stacking above the knees. Go ahead and press that left foot back behind you and begin to just rock forwards and backwards. Maybe getting any creaks and cracks out of that left ankle. Moving maybe in circles, maybe just forwards and back, just in any way that feels good to you. Listening to your body along the way. Listening to your breath as well. Your breath is your guide. When you're ready, lifting that left heel in line with the hip, or about that height. Making sure those left toes point down towards the earth. Hips are square. Belly button hugs the spine. And then bending that left knee so that the heel is pointed up towards the sky, that left foot is flexed. Just beginning to gently pulse up and down. Maybe it's just an inch, maybe it's just a centimeter. Maybe you're just imagining it, and that's okay, that counts in yoga. The beauty of yoga is that it is not just a physical practice. It encompasses the whole self, all 5 layers of the koshas. And so even when we imagine things in the mind's eye, that counts as yoga. When we are just taking the time to notice our self-talk, to be present, that counts as yoga. When you're ready, pausing, exhale as we curl the left knee in towards the chest, pointing the left toes, curling the spine, squeezing the left foot towards the left glute, and then exhale as we come back to hands and knees, all fours. Beautiful work, you guys. When you're ready, go ahead and sink the hips back towards the heels for hero's pose. We'll go ahead and rise up to stand on the knees. Inhale as we circle the arms up towards the sky. And on an exhale, let's just bring the fists to the bony ridge of the hips for a gentle camel pose. Lifting the heart, pinching the shoulder blades together, maybe lifting the chin, letting the head hang back if that feels comfortable for you. Just opening that whole front body. And then when you're ready, coming back through center. And coming back through hands and knees, all fours. Transitioning to downward facing dog, tuck the toes and lift the hips. Fingers spread wide. Begin to just pedal out the feet. Sinking one heel down to the mat at a time. Bending the opposite knee, walking out your dog, keeping equal weight in the hands as we press through the index fingers and thumbs. Fingers spread nice and wide to evenly distribute our weight. Maybe we come all the way up onto the toes. Maybe we bend and sink into the knees and sink the hips. Exploring all the possibilities of downward facing dog. Know that if downward dog doesn't feel good in your body, you can always take this against a wall instead. We can also do downward dog with a piece of furniture, just planting the hands down, walking the feet back, and letting the heart melt down through the biceps. Alright, so there's always options, you guys. Just get creative if you need to. When we're ready from downward dog, finding a forward fold at the top of our mats. So get there in any way that makes sense to you. If you need to take some extra steps in between, no big deal, you guys. When you arrive, inhale to lift halfway, shoulder blades pinch together, crown of the head reaches forward. The knees are as bent or as soft as they need to be here. And exhale as we sink a little deeper into our fold. And so you guys, I've been practicing yoga for a long time, so your fold won't look like mine, and that's okay. That's actually a good thing. It would be really boring if we all looked exactly the same, if we were automatically good at everything the moment we did it, right? So don't worry about what it looks like. Just close the eyes and allow the head and neck to release down. Maybe you sway side to side. Think about lifting the shoulders up and away from the ears, keeping space in the neck. Really reach up through the tailbone and press down through all 4 corners of the feet to activate the legs. And so the weight is distributed, pressing down through the balls of the feet, that space underneath the big toe, the pinky toe, and the heel. Again, the knees are as bent as they need to be. Your legs do not need to be straight by any means. In fact, it might even feel really good to really bend the knees, even if you can straighten them, to kind of break that habit, just to see what would happen to do something a little different. When you're ready, really press down. We'll begin to inhale to circle the arms up towards the sky for Mountain Pose Tadasana. Reach the fingertips up towards the sky, spreading even the spaces between the fingers, rooting down through the feet, and then on an exhale, bringing the hands down through heart center. Samastitahi, reconnect with your intention. Come back to this moment. Hands come back down to our sides, actively reaching down to the earth through the fingertips. And then when you're ready, we'll transition to Warrior One. So take your time to get there. The right foot will come forward, the left foot will come back. And so if you're super wobbly here, that might be a sign that you need to just shorten your stance by stepping the left foot forward a little bit. If you feel like maybe you can go a little deeper, then you just step that left foot back a little bit, all right? So for this, we're pressing down through the outer edge of that left foot. So that left foot is entirely planted. The toes might be at about a 45-degree angle. And then the hips are square to the front of the mat. We're lunging into that right knee at about a 90-degree angle so that that right knee stacks above that right ankle. And then the arms can reach up towards the sky if that's available, or if you're taking care of your shoulders, they can just stay at heart center. And we'll take 5 breaths here. Once you get set up, that's when we'll start counting. Maybe closing the eyes, see how that challenges the pose a little bit. Maybe notice what happens to your balance when the eyes are closed. What changes? When you're ready, straighten through the right knee. Maybe you reach the arms up towards the sky. And then on an exhale, waterfall over that right leg, coming into pyramid pose. And so if you need to hold on to a piece of furniture in front of you, totally fine. Maybe you have a chair nearby, or maybe you have books underneath each hand. Otherwise, you can just hold on to that right ankle. And if you have the space, you can plant the hands all the way down, framing that right foot. But that's only if you have the confidence, if you have the space to do that. Taking 5 sinking breaths here. So with every inhale, lengthen the spine longer. With every exhale, sink back in an inch or two. See how far that nose can travel down that right leg. See how far your breath will take you. Again, not as a competition, not because you're going to be a better person if you can go deeper into pyramid pose. But just to see and just to explore the limitations of your own body. Just to learn something new. When you're ready, grabbing this right ankle with the right hand, inhale to lift the left hand up to the sky for triangle pose, Trikonasana. The hips might become a little skewed here. The left hip might come up a little higher than the right. You might have to take some extra steps in between and shimmy the feet to adjust your stance. Just being really careful and gentle with your body, with whichever way you move. The gaze looks up at the left fingertips. The left shoulder stacks above the right shoulder. Breathing here. On the exhale, lowering that left hand back down, coming back into this full pyramid pose, And then squeezing the core, belly button hooks the spine. Inhale to rise all the way back up to warrior one, bringing a bend back into that right knee. And then when you're ready, stepping the left foot forward, coming back to mountain pose, hands come through heart center and down to our sides. When you're ready, let's bring the right foot towards the left ankle for tree pose. And so this might be enough sensation for you with the toes connected down to the mat. You might go closer to a wall or a piece of furniture for balance. That's totally fine. Some of you might decide to bring this right foot higher up on the leg, maybe to the shin. Maybe some of you bring it all the way up into that inner thigh. So it's up to you. And just how far you want to take it, or how far your body will allow you to take it. And then once you find your version of tree pose, you can always change it. But then maybe you begin to find a drishti, a focal point. Your hands can be wherever they're comfortable. Maybe they're at heart center, maybe they're reaching up towards the sky. A few more breaths here. If you fall out of it, just get back into it slowly and mindfully. If we try to jump back into it or rush into it, that's when we begin to fall down again. And when we begin to fall down and rush, that's when we get frustrated. And when we get frustrated, we can jeopardize our relationship with our practice and with our body. And we don't want to do that. So just be patient with yourself. When you're ready, lowering that right foot back down to the earth. If you need to shake it out a little bit, you can. And when you're ready, let's step the left foot forward, the right foot comes back for warrior one, Virabhadrasana A. The arms might be reaching up, the hands might be at heart center, lots of options. This is a different side, it might feel different, and you might have to do the pose differently, and that's okay. Hips are square to the front of the mat. That means that the left hip is next to the right hip, which means that we might have to draw the right hip forward a little more than we think. Press down through the outer edge of that right foot, down to the left foot. Really lunge into that left knee. And breathing here for 5 breaths. Keeping the shoulders nice and relaxed. And when you're ready, straighten through that left knee. Exhale to waterfall over this left knee, coming into pyramid pose, folding over this left leg, hinging at the hips. Stopping just when you've gone to that point of just enough. Some people might try to find their edge in a yoga pose, but for this class we're being gentle, so don't try and find your edge. Just go when the body feels something, right? And stop there, see if you can explore that space. Five sinking breaths here. Every inhale lifts and lengthens the spine. Every exhale folds back in a little deeper, even if we're just imagining it. Even if we're just imagining it, we're still focusing on the breath, and that's really the point of all of this, is to stay in the present moment, to connect the mind and body, to connect the breath with our movements. When you're ready, grabbing this left ankle with the left hand. Inhale as we twist open, reaching up through the right fingertips. You might adjust your stance slightly. Maybe shimmy the toes. Reaching straight up through those right fingertips, opening up the heart, the shoulders stacking, right shoulder above the left. Gaze is up at the fingertips if that feels okay on your neck. Breathing here for 5 breaths. If this is too intense, you can always take this left hand onto the left hip instead. On an inhale, let's just tilt all the way up to a standing straddle, turning the left toes inward so that the feet are parallel to one another. Inhale as we lift the arms up towards the sky. And exhale as we bring the hands behind us. Maybe we interlace the fingers, opening up the chest. And then on an exhale, forward fold, hinging at the hips, leading with the heart. Lifting the palms up towards the sky, away from the lower back. Squeezing the palms together, the heels of the hands together. Just as far as it's available. Breathing here. Lifting through the tailbone. Dropping the weight of the head and neck, softening all the muscles in the face, the eyebrows, the jaw. We don't need to clench our face here. That's not going to help us go deeper into the pose. When you're ready, releasing the hands, releasing the grip. Hands come to our hips, and then slowly inhale to come back up to a seated position. Or not a seated, coming back up to standing. When you're ready, bringing the feet back together. Let's bring this left foot up towards the right ankle for tree pose, keeping this knee wide open. The toes might stay connected to the mat, or we might bring it onto the shin or above the knee, just making sure that we avoid the knee area, all right? Knees are very sensitive joints that we need to take care of, so avoiding the knees. And then connecting the right leg with the left foot by squeezing them both towards one another, towards an imaginary center midline. Everything comes to center, and see if that helps your balance a little bit. And the hands can, again, just be wherever they're comfortable. Breathing here. Maybe you find a mudra, this lotus mudra, by opening up the fingers, keeping the thumbs and the pinky fingers together. This is just a mudra for opening the heart chakra, the 4th chakra. Opening up that space. That chakra is all about air and space, and yoga itself is all about creating space, creating more space in the body to find more movement, mobility, space in the mind by releasing the thoughts and the things that don't serve us. Creating a sacred space here in this body and on this mat. Breathing into that space. And when you're ready, slowly lowering the foot back down, releasing the mudra if you have it. Fingertips reach down to the earth. Inhale as we circle the arms up towards the sky. Exhale as we forward fold. Wash it away. When you're ready, step the feet back to downward dog. And then lowering the knees down to hands and knees. Sinking the hips down from there, coming into hero's pose. Breathing here. When you're ready, melt one hip down towards the mat, sweeping the feet out in front of you for staff pose. And then we'll lower right down onto the back. When you get there, let's bring the right ankle above the left knee for figure 4. If this is enough sensation, stay exactly where you are. If you need more of a challenge, begin to interlace the fingers behind the left thigh, drawing it in towards the chest. Some of you might enjoy straightening this left leg. Some of you might like it better bent. Maybe rock a little side to side. And just feeling an opening in that right hip flexor. Breathing here. When you're ready, planting the left foot if it's not already planted. Arms come wide into a T. And we'll have a couple options here for taking this twist. Maybe you keep the legs exactly the way they are and then plant that right foot down to the mat as you let the left knee fall down towards the earth. Then if you're in this version, you can consider kind of pressing this right knee out towards the left foot or towards the end of the mat. If this is too much sensation for you, then of course you can just uncross the legs and just let the knees stack above one another. Just like we did before. Maybe noticing the change in the body. Breathing into your twist, maybe looking over the right fingertips. And when you're ready, inhaling to bring the knees back through center, uncrossing the legs. Left ankle stacks above the right knee, flexing through the left foot. Either staying here or drawing the right knee in towards the chest to open up that left hip flexor a little more, keeping the low back pressed down against the earth. Again, any variation is welcome here. Feel free to experiment and explore. As long as you're moving gently, slowly, and safely, and it really doesn't matter what it looks like. When you're ready, planting the right foot down if it's not already planted, and then taking that twist, maybe keeping the legs exactly the way that they are, and just planting that left foot down and opening that left knee towards the end of the mat. Or maybe uncrossing the legs, just allowing the knees to stack above one another. Taking your variation of spinal twists and then settling in, looking over the left fingertips if that's available for you. And then coming back through center, releasing the left foot down towards the mat. We'll bring the arms next to our sides and take bridge pose. Inhaling as we lift the hips up towards the sky, rolling the shoulder blades underneath, lifting the hips. Exhale as we gently roll the spine back down to the mat, one vertebrae at a time. Taking the knees into the chest, or maybe we bring the knees in towards the armpits, pressing the soles of the feet up towards the sky for happy baby pose. For this, we grab the outside edges of the feet, knees come down towards the armpits, and maybe we rock side to side, pressing down into the lower back. Feeling the hip flexors gently open. Maybe we even bring the soles of the feet together, like a butterfly pose on our back. When you're ready, bringing the knees back in towards the body, hug them in, and then take rest in Shavasana, final relaxation. So the legs can come wide. The legs can come wide, or maybe you bring the soles of the feet together for Baddha Konasana. Settling in. Finding stillness and allowing yourself to enjoy that stillness, because how often do you get that opportunity? Stillness for some of us is more challenging than movement, so some of us this will be a bit of a challenge. So I invite you to let go of any judgments, any self-criticism, and just breathe. Let go of the need to control. Thank yourself for doing something that is so nourishing for the body and the mind. Scan the body from head to toe and just completely relax. You already begin to awaken the body, wiggle the fingers and toes, deepening the breath, gently moving into the wrists and ankles, the head and the neck and shoulders. And when you're ready, you can bring the knees in towards the chest, rocking side to side. We'll begin to make our way to a seated position, maybe rolling forwards and backwards, or maybe falling to one side in fetal position and pushing ourselves up from there. Just get there in any way that makes sense to you. When you arrive, root down through the sit bones, sit nice and tall through the spine, shoulders falling back and down. Inhale as we circle the arms up towards the sky, reaching up through the fingertips, meeting the palms together at the top. Exhale as we seal it all in through heart center, Anjali Mudra. Bow the chin in gratitude. The light in me sees that same light that shines in all of you. Where those lights meet is where we find connection, and that connection is the meaning of the word yoga. Thank you all for sharing this yoga practice with me today. Namaste.